Albert is in Austin, Texas. Hey, Albert, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you, Dave?
Better than I deserve. What's up?
So basically, I have about $140,000 in student loan debt between me and my wife. We make about 140 grand a year, and we basically are in a position where we can either make monthly payments of $1,400 a month and pay off all our debt in 10 years, or we can enter into a repayment plan, put about the maximum into our 401ks, and essentially pay $0 for the first 5 years, and then after 20 years, potentially get everything forgiven. So I'm trying to see whether we should just start to pay it off completely, or whether the repayment plan could have some benefits that, allow us to save money and invest earlier, because, compound interest.
What's your degree in?
So I have a master's in finance, and my wife, she has a bachelor's of science in nursing.
I saw that one coming. Okay.
Albert, I don't know what the Greek word for irony is, but I think it's finance degree
Ooh.
in $140,000. Well done, man. You're a smart kid, aren't you?
Well, most of it was actually for me. So before I got my master's degree, we had about 70 grand, and then that program cost about an extra 70,000. But it did increase my income by about 30%, so I saw it as worth it.
So you increased your debt load by 100% and your salary by 30?
Yeah, but the amount of time it would take to, kind of get that 30% increase in my regular career, which was I did a bachelor's in accounting, would have took me about 5 years. So I saved 5 years of time trying to move up the ladder by just going to school 1 year.
Okay. I have a degree in finance as well, and people that are wired like me and you have a well, you've always heard that your greatest strength is your greatest weakness, right, Albert?
Yeah.
And I have a couple of tendencies because of my uncanny ability with math. I'm very good with math, and you are too. I can tell, because everything that you've talked about since you got on the phone is all about mathematical analysis. And so and John's right. You're obviously a very bright guy. Those things are actually going to work against you in this conversation, though, and because they've worked against me in my past. And so, being the older nerd of the two of us in this conversation, I made the mistake of thinking that I could measure all issues like risk and strain and relationship messes with a math formula, and you can't. And so, for instance, in the formula that you just used to justify your master's degree, you did not have anything in that math formula for the extra risk you took on with a $70,000 extra weight. All you did was just look at a simple ROI. And so you left life variables out of your formula called risk, and thereby would have neutralized some of your mathematical conclusions. But you learn that after risk knocks your freaking teeth out a couple of times, and then you go, okay, the math formula missed that. And that's what happened to me, so and has more than once. And so we need to do the best we can do with a mathematical analysis, but what I'm going to urge you to do is to realize earlier rather than later, because it hurt me, I brought pain into my life, that math does not measure common sense. Math does not measure risk very often. There's a few places you can actually use a beta in an inverted formula, and you know what I'm talking about on an investment, Albert, but there's very few times that people actually plug risk into these equations, which makes our math naive. It's emotionally immature. Does that make any sense? And so all of that to say, no, do not stay in debt 20 years and try to screw around and get rich with your 401k while you do 3 versions of a 2-step twirl around, hoping some political thing is going to come along and bail your butt out of this ridiculous hole you dug yourself into. No, you take your $140,000 income and you punch this mess you made in the mouth, and you get rid of this student loan as fast as you can, because all the data that we have on millionaires says that none of them, not a single one, and we studied 10,000 of them, and this is statistically significant, not a single one said, I'm going to keep my student loan around as long as I can and dance with it so that I can invest in my 401k and it will offset. And I understand mathematically how you got there, but dude, naive doesn't even touch this conversation. Please set the pencil down and go and just pay off your student loan. Get visceral, emotional about it, and get rid of the mess. Quit walking around proud about the fact you've got it. Yeah. It's a mess. Now go fix it.
Here's what it looks like in real life. You got a wife that's a nurse, Albert. You have a finance job. As Dave said, there's any sort of correction in the market, and they call you in because you're new and you're young, and you're gone. And suddenly your 5-year acceleration turns into a 7-year deceleration. That's number one, right? So, and you're going to say, that never happened to me. I got a graduate degree. Cool. Live in that world. Step 2 is your wife, who's a nurse, after year 7, says, I cannot do this anymore. The secondary trauma is wearing me out. Or you have a kid and you end up with twins and she says, I want to stay home. Or.
One of them has needs.
One of them's got special needs. You are hedging a 10-year bet. And I don't know if you know anything about the last 10 years. I'm not betting nothing except the turtle's going to win every single time. And I'm going to take the small step and the smart step. This is not a math problem. It's a psychology and it's
Don't
a
try
spiritual.
to trick life with a math formula.
Yeah.
You're going to get your face smacked off. Don't do it.
Pay it off. 3 years, man. 3 years.
3 years. You need to be debt-free in 3 years and then move on with your life.